Okay, so this is in vertex form, and honestly, since it's in the vertex form already, I'm just going to go straight to decide what the vertex is. The opposite of positive 2 is negative 2, and negative 4 is as it is. If it's going up or down, well, the 3 is positive, so it's going up. Make sure you show your work. The axis of symmetry is just the x value of the vertex, so x equals negative 2. Don't lose a point on that, okay? If it's a maximum or a minimum, well, if it's going up, the vertex is at the bottom, that's a minimum, okay? The y-intercept. I'm getting to the x-intercept, but I feel like that one's a little bit more work, so I'm going to approach that afterwards. The y-intercept has 0 as its x value, so I'm going to plug in 3 times 0 plus 2 squared minus 4. 0 plus 2 is 2, squared is 4, times 3 is 12, minus 4 is 8. So I want to be clear, I took the 0 and I plugged it in for x, okay? The x-intercepts I think are more difficult. That's when I set it equal to 0. So I'm going to come over here, I have more space, equals, 3 times x plus 2 squared minus 4. So I solve like I normally would. It's just a little bit backwards, so it seems more difficult. This is actually going to be kind of a hard one. So I divide by 3. I get 4/3 equals x plus 2 squared, square root, square root. I'm going to switch sides with this because it feels easier. So x plus 2 equals plus or minus. Okay, this is rad 4 over rad 3. I'm going to simplify it, where would be a good spot, over to the right, okay? So square root of 4 is 2 over rad 3. But the problem is you can't have a radical in the denominator, rad 3, which is 2 rad 3 over 3. Make that a little bit bigger, sorry about that. So I'm left with x plus 2 equals plus or minus 2 rad 3 over 3. Subtract 2, and my answer is x equals negative 2 plus or minus 2 rad 3 over 3. You know, I've got to split it, so let me get my calculator out and then I'll write the answer. So I want to show you I put it in my calculator and I got x equals negative 0.85 and I got x equals negative 3.15. But what I really want to show you is I wanted to make sure I was right. That was a lot of work. So I want to show you what I did. I graphed it in the calculator, and if you look, it's kind of hard to see because of the glare. Let me see if I can make it show. See how it says 0 right there? And if you look right down there, it's negative 0.845, which rounds to negative 0.85. So I know I did it correctly. Always use that to check, and then you can do this. Check the other one just if you feel like you want to make sure. It says the 0, negative 315, so I know I'm good to go. Okay, so let me write down the answers. X equals negative 0.85, and x equals negative, oops, sorry, that decimal shouldn't be there, 3.15. Okay? All right, end behavior. Remember for end behavior, as x approaches negative infinity, f of x approaches. As x approaches positive infinity, f of x approaches. We know this is going up, okay? So we're looking at the end behavior. So this is, as you're going to the right, positive infinity, it goes up. As you're going to the left, it goes up. Well, it's going up. So your answer is positive infinity, positive infinity. Memorize that. If it goes up, these are both positive. If it goes down, they're both negative. Okay, your intervals. Your intervals are all based on your vertex. So if I'm going to informally draw my parabola, my vertex is at negative 2, negative 4. So my intervals are, it's decreasing from negative infinity to, remember it's always the x value, to negative 2. And then it's increasing from negative 2 to positive infinity. Okay. Domain. Domain of all parabolas, all real numbers, negative infinity, positive infinity. My range, y is greater than or equal to negative 4. And since it's going up, I forgot to write it in interval notation on the previous page, negative 4, positive infinity. So let me reiterate. I forgot to on the previous page write my range and interval notation. So in this one, it's going down, okay? So that means it's going down to negative infinity. So we're going from negative infinity to positive 3. And there's my range and interval notation. Again, if you don't have enough space, feel free to use other paper. This is a lot going on. All right, let me factor if I can. I set that equal to 0, 5x, x minus 5. If you want to solve it by the quadratic formula, you would say a was 5, b was negative 25, and c was 0. I don't want to solve by the quadratic formula, but you can. X equals 0, x equals 5. And remember what you could do, take this, put it in your calculator, Control G, and you could just type in 5x squared minus 25x, press enter, and then menu trace, graph trace, and look, we told one of them is 0, 0, let's see, make it say 0, boom, there's the 0, and you go da-da-da, and there's the 5, okay? On this one, I'm going to subtract 12. I know some of you want to solve by completing the square, but I will always pick factoring anytime. X equals 6, x equals negative 2. If you solve that by completing the square, same answer. If you solve this by the quadratic formula, you need to first set it equal to 0, then a would be 1, b was negative 4, and c is negative 12. Okay? All right. For this one, I'll solve by completing the square. I know I can't factor it. So I do my little box, x squared minus 5x, make that a little bit bigger, minus 5x, x, negative 5. The magic number is 25, so I go plus 25, x minus, or x plus 5, careful, I went too fast, x plus 5 squared equals 26, square root, x plus 5 equals plus or minus rad 26, negative 5. X equals negative 5 plus or minus rad 26. Give the two answers, get in my calculator. Negative 5 plus rad 26 and negative 5 minus rad 26. I can check it, but I don't have time right now. But I can graph this. Now, if I'm going to graph it, I have to make sure I graph x squared plus 10x minus 1 in my graphing calculator in order to check to make sure my zeros are the same thing. Negative 0.10, because 9 cents rounds up to 10. X equals negative 10 cents. So I have negative 10 cents in there. I'll show you really quick because I know that you want to see it. So Control G. Sorry. X squared plus 10x, minus 1. And when I graph it, menu trace, graph trace, okay, and I go like this, the 0 is 0.095, which rounds up to 10 cents. Okay, so I know I'm good. All right, let's do the last one. The last one I have no choice, but I have to do the quadratic formula. Okay. So let me pause it, I'll complete the quadratic formula, and then I'll just show you the answer. So I set up the quadratic formula. I'm going to simplify this. Is the square root of 1 plus 4 times 3 is 12, times 5 is 60, and a negative make a positive. So rad 61. Now I'll throw in the negative 1 plus or minus over 6. But of course I need to split it. Plug it into my calculator. Of course it's reloading right now. Let me pause it then. So I plug them both into the calculator. That looks like 114, x equals. And the other one is x equals negative 1.47. Now you know me. I went to the calculator and I graphed it. And I already have it written there. It's 114. If this one's good to go, I'm sure I'm good to go on this one. Okay? So I just want to make sure. I feel like... Nope, we're good. Please study, study, study.